Hello, Advancement Council members. Sorry I cannot be with you. I'm out of the country. And since I'm not there in person, I wanted to do a campus ministry report via video. So here's the report since our last gathering. Some of the latest news that's exciting to share and also interesting and a big change for us. The first thing is we are going to be changing our long-standing 9 p.m. student mass to a 4:30 p.m. Sunday evening mass, which will also have a dinner that will immediately follow it for the students to gather and build community around. This has been a decision that's been a long time coming, and it's a huge change. And some of our students are nervous about it. Some of our students are excited about it. For some, it's going to be more convenient. For some, it may be less convenient. Of course, for the incoming freshmen, they will not have known any different. And so for them, all they will have known is the 4:30 mass. Just real quick, want to give some quick reasons about why how we've arrived at this point, why we've made this decision. For the past 4 years, we've been discerning this. First came up when we did our study semester about 4 years ago, and we had several focus groups made up of students, and some of the students in those focus groups started talking about mass times and changing mass times and how the 9 p.m. wasn't always the best for some certain groups of students. They also talked about one of the reasons why some students don't go to 9 p.m., and this is a major driving factor for our decision, is that by being at the end of the weekend, when students still have work to do, they're left with the choice between going to mass or finishing their homework. And for a great majority of students, when they are in that predicament, they end up choosing homework because for obvious reasons, right? And now certainly there are some students who like that mass kind of at the end of the weekend, and that motivates them to get their work done. But there's plenty of students where they're in that predicament. And so a 4:30 p.m. mass was something that we started exploring then about 2-3 years ago, and we started surveying the students specifically about that. And over 2 to 3 different surveys that we have done, we've received pretty positive feedback. We've had in all of those situations, we've never had a majority who said they were against the 4:30 p.m. mass. It's usually typically been about 50-50 or slightly in favor of changing the mass from a 9 p.m. to an earlier time slot like 4:30. And so we know that there's plenty of students who really would enjoy and love that change. And then when we talk about what are some of the incentives that come along with changing the mass to 4:30 and what programmatic changes could we make and ways to build community better and more through this opportunity, the idea of having a dinner after that mass is really exciting to a lot of students. Over the last year, we have kind of been looking at our peer institutes to see, well, what are they doing? And there are many other Newman Centers around the country and our peer institutes that have late night student masses, but there are many who have, there's more of them who have like a 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. And we've also been noticing with those peer institutes that they too have been noticing a trend that the later masses that they have are drawing less students for a couple of reasons. One, the thing I talked about before with homework at the end of the weekend. And two, this is kind of a new trend. For so many years, we've tried to convince students they need to get more sleep, but we always sounded like parents when we said that. Well, they're finally starting to listen to us. And the result of that is that they don't want to stay up as late. They don't want to stay up as late as they used to, especially going to mass, because that means they aren't getting home till 10:30, 10:45, 11 p.m. at night on a Sunday night. And they're too tired to do that. And so on the one hand, it's good that they're getting more sleep. On the other hand, it means like a late night mass doesn't work for them as much anymore. A concrete example of this is down at St. Louis University. They have a 9 p.m. mass, just like we do. And they had a 10 p.m. previously. They moved it to a 9 p.m. a couple years back because, again, they were noticing that was a tough stretch for them and for the presiders. They also have a 4:30 p.m. Sunday mass. And they have noticed over the last couple of years that that the 9 p.m. mass has decreased in about 200 students on average in attendance. And those 200 students have actually gravitated towards that 4:30 p.m. mass. So their 4:30 p.m. mass has grown by about 200 students. So that's kind of a direct evidence that something's happening here, I think, generationally, culturally, that shows that later mass maybe just doesn't work for students as much anymore. So given that data, given our parent institutes, given some of the recent surveys that we've done with our students, that there is support for it, we've decided to make that change. And we think that this is not so much about a mass change, but more of a new program and a new opportunity to evangelize students. We know that a lot of students coming in, it's a challenge for them to think about coming to Mass because maybe they didn't grow up going to Mass all that frequently. And so already coming to WashU, it may not be a choice that they're making easily, or maybe a choice that they need a little extra incentive to make. And so we feel that dinner part of it and being at the time of day when people might be looking to gather with community anyways, can really add an incentive for coming to Mass and have a positive experience of community at the CSC and around Mass. And obviously we still have the 11 a.m. Mass, so if that time conflicts with people, they still have the option to do that. Obviously, we have some concerns about, like, is it going to draw away people from Lourdes because they have an evening Mass on Sunday? And so we're hoping that that doesn't happen because we don't want to be competing with local parishes. That's part of the reason why we chose a 4:30 instead of 5, so it doesn't look like we're directly trying to compete with Lourdes right up the street. But overall, we're pretty excited. The staff is excited about this opportunity, and we do know that we're going to need a lot of support from the permanent community members to make the dinner work and happen after this new 4:30 p.m. Mass. Because it's going to be it's going to involve kind of a new infrastructure of a weekly meal. That means like serving anywhere from 50, 75 to 100 students on a weekly basis. And so we have some plans that we're already trying to make for that, but any ideas you might have about that, we would welcome. Obviously, we'll need some financial backing for that, some infrastructure in terms of whether it's catering it and setting up for it, whether it's having families sponsor it and making it and doing the setup and cleanup themselves, how we're going to involve students with that process. So again, would love to get your feedback on that at this meeting or at other times. Two other quick things I want to point out. We are hiring we're looking at bringing on two positions, campus minister positions. You may have heard that Christy Chan and Brian Beams are both moving on. And so that's opened up some opportunities to build our team, kind of do some rebuilding, but we're really excited about the candidates. And by the time of this advancement council meeting, we may have actually even extended an offer to a candidate. We've got some great candidates in the pool, and we're looking for sure to hire at least one female, if not two females, but we've got some great male candidates too. And so we might end up with one female, one male, and they're going to be working on everything from service trips and social justice efforts to our Catholic Leadership Development Program and Young Catholic Scholars and advising our Catholic Student Union Board. Again, really excited about those who are in the pool for that. And then the final thing I would say is, speaking of Catholic Leadership Development, we have finished our first year of the program. The students who were in the program did their final reports on their capstone projects. A couple of you may have been there, but the presentations were really great. It really showed the work that those students put in throughout the year. And I feel really proud personally of what the CSC has been able to achieve, even just in this first year of having this program and what the students got to experience through this program. And we're so excited about being able to do it again next year and beyond, and what the future holds for this program. And obviously, we're going to be doing a little bit of tweaking. We learned some great, valuable things this year on how to improve it a little bit for next year. Got some great feedback from the students. But I really wish that all of you could have been able to been there to see the presentations that our students did. They were so well done, so put together, and they were making, and just these little projects, they're already making huge impacts in our St. Louis community. We had one student, just to highlight one of them, we had one student who worked on how does Catholic Charities, there are so many volunteer opportunities out there, but as a young adult, he found that it was really difficult for him to figure out where he could volunteer and what agencies needed what help. And he found it odd that there wasn't like a centralized location where you could find all that information out. And when he would go to like Catholic Charities or other agencies, he could find out maybe about one thing here, one thing there, but he found that it was really laborious to find that information. And so what he decided to do was he went to Catholic Charities and he said, I want to help your agency. I want to help Catholic Charities figure out a way how there's one central clearinghouse where if somebody wants to volunteer, they can find out what are all the volunteer opportunities through Catholic Charities and when can I do it? Are they like one-time opportunities? Are they weekly opportunities? How many people you need? And so with them, he partnered with them, and throughout this whole year, he's been working on that, and they're still making progress on it, and they're still working on it. But one huge step that he's done is they've added a new button on their website that says volunteer. they have a big button that says donate, but they never had a button that says volunteer. And when you hit that button, then it goes to a listing of agencies that have volunteer opportunities. So they're already making huge progress with that. And that's just one example of the great work that these Catholic Leadership Development students worked on this year, that I think is indicative of their impact already and the type of impact they're going to have on the world moving forward in their lives. So I wanted to share that exciting news because I really think that's something that the Catholic Student Center from this year could be really, really proud of. There's lots of things we could talk about, but that's one I wanted to highlight. So I'm not there, obviously, to answer questions. Father Gary is, but I am grateful that you're there today. I'm sorry again, I can't be there, and obviously, I'm always available via email or any other time if you want to follow up with me sometime when I do get back in town. So God bless, and thanks again for all your support and for what you guys do here for the Catholic Student Center.